What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the 615 Hockey and Soccer Pod. On today's episode, we're just mainly talking about hockey, specifically the Preds, of course, because there's just so much that's been going on these last couple, I guess, month and a half or so. Yeah, sorry, I just got a fucking text. But yeah, there's been a lot going on. So like I said, we'll make another episode later about the Nashville SC, everything's going on over there, transfers, whatever it may be. But today, I think we should really focus on the Predators because, like I said, so much has been going on, especially with the recent announcement of Barry Trotz. He's going to be retiring at the end of the season, which is a bummer, definitely. I think Barry Trotz is he's a good GM, no doubt. He built a culture within Nashville, with the Nashville Predators. It's about development. He's a big development guy, disciplined guy, and a culture guy. Which is good. Hopefully the next GM kind of keeps that motto, culture. I think the Nashville Predators culture is good now, and I hope it doesn't really change, but we'll have to see. But with him retiring, it brings a question of what is the end game for the season? What is his plans? Like he said earlier in the week that he's planning to set up the future GM for success, but what does that really look like? Is it a playoff push and a good end of the season? Or is it the Predators selling and getting as much cap freed up as possible so he can kind of build his own team and do what he wants? We really don't know. And honestly, I have a funny feeling it's going to be the second one. It's going to be sell the team. He's probably going to sell a bunch of players, free up a bunch of cap, and let him do his own thing. I would love to see a playoff push, in my opinion, but that's just highly unlikely because, we're just too inconsistent at the moment anyway. And our defense has to tighten up, and I just don't see it really happening, So, I guess we're gonna go back down. We're kind of go back to, let's be real. I guess are the Preds gonna sell, or are they gonna buy in? They're gonna keep pushing for this playoff run. They're gonna keep going. Are they gonna sell and just kind of leave? Because okay, let's be real for a minute. I'm kind of freeballing this, so I'm sorry if everything's kind of all over the place. I'm going to give you a warning now. I'm kind of freeballing this. I just kind of came out and was like, I need to talk about this. It's been bothering me all week. So are we actually legit playoff threat? You know what I mean? Or are we just kind of fighting to sneak in? That's kind of the thing. And honestly, I don't think we're a playoff threat. I think we're fighting to sneak in. I don't think that's a way to go. You know what I mean? But everything's been happening this season. I don't see us really trying to sneak in. I think we should sell. Like I know I said earlier that I think a playoff push would be nice. Yeah, it would be great to see him in the playoffs, but I don't want to go to playoffs just to lose every game. You know what I mean? In the wild card spot. Why do I want to do that? Honestly, I think that the move is to sell. But because yeah, we can make the playoffs, sure. We can fight to sneak in. But then we can make the playoffs. But then there's also, if we make the playoffs, are we going to be dangerous? Are we going to actually, I guess, be a competitor? And I just don't think that's going to happen. So by some miracle, if we do make it and they don't sell, like I said, I don't see us getting out of round one. I really don't. And it also comes to a factor of, since Trotz is retiring, does he want really like one last push, or is he going to protect the future and he's going to sell out? You know what I mean? And I don't know. Like I said, I think the best move is to sell. This playoff push would not be worth it because we're just going to get a round one loss, and what's the point in that? If we're not going to push for a Stanley, why are we going to be in the playoffs? That's my mindset. Either you win or you go home, and that's just it. We're not winning, so we might as well just go home. Take our losses, sell, free up some cap, let the GM do his thing, the new GM do his thing. And I really think we should really sell anyway, not make a playoff push, because our team is just, we have a lot of weaknesses. You know what I mean? Scoring depth outside of the top guys, the scoring drops off tremendously. You know what I mean? If we're in the playoffs, we need three lines that can hurt teams. You know what I mean? And right now we have one line, maybe two. You know what I mean? We have to have consistency, and we just don't have it. It's not there. Our power play. Our power play is really, it's inconsistent too, I guess. We can't really score 5-on-5. We score, and a lot of our goals come from power play, sure. But also we don't really score a lot in power play too. I know it's really contradicting, but it's kind of how it is. We just have, I guess, too much passing. Not enough trying to score. It's 5-on-4. Just shoot the puck at the net, dude. You know what I mean? But it's just, we're not doing it enough, and that's kind of the issue with the power play. It's just too inconsistent. Also, our 5v5 is too inconsistent too, and our defense specifically. Our defense is atrocious. Too many too many defensive breakdowns, man. We too many odd man rushes, and we just can't play a game like that. Allowing too many 2-on-1, 3-on-1s with the goalie. That's just failure, dude. That's just gonna be a failure from the start. It's not gonna work out that way. And we need to focus on the defense. We need to structure our defense, and we need to execute on defense, and we're just not doing that. So a playoff push wouldn't make any sense. It honestly would not. Our goaltending. In our postseason, you really need reliability, and our goaltending, we need consistency there. We do have a lot more consistency there than we do in a lot of other spots on the team. But I just don't think it's enough consistency to actually make a good playoff push, because some nights it's elite. It looks great. Saros looks freaking great. And some nights it's real shaky. Saros kind of looks like he's lost. Maybe he's having a bad night. Maybe the pads feel a little heavy. I don't know. Honestly, I don't think really what's happening this year is really the goalkeeper's faults. I think a lot of that's just defense, and then the forwards early in the season being inconsistent to begin with. Our defense is giving a lot of odd man rushes up, and when you have a lot of odd man rushes and you're giving them up, you're gonna have some goals scored against you. You know what I mean? The goalkeeper can't do it all, and the defense isn't helping either. So I see a lot of people blaming Saros specifically for having a bad game, blah blah blah. Well, when you watch the games, look at the defense. Where are they at when this scoring is happening? Are they 1-on-1 with the guy with the puck, or are they behind the guy with the puck? Are they getting beat on the breakaway? And if you watch, a majority of the time, our defense is getting beat on a breakaway, and that's the issue. Our defense is just not doing their job, and they're getting beat so much by these other forwards, specifically like some faster teams too. You see it way more often with the faster teams. Our defense is just slow, and that's an issue. And I think with this defense, a playoff push is just not likely, because, like I said, you have to play good defense, and that's just not happening right now. Like I said, I don't think it's the goalkeeper's fault this year. I think a lot of it is our defense letting a lot of odd man rushes happen. And if you're a goalkeeper, and you every other breakaway, it's 3-on-1, 2-on-1, it's pretty nerve wracking, and they're gonna get by you. They're gonna get by you. The puck's gonna go by. And it's just a matter of how many can you stop, not if you can stop them all, it's just how many can you stop. And that's just the issue. The defense needs to straighten up, and I don't see that happening this year. I think it's not going to happen this year, to be honest with you. Sucks to say. I know I don't want to be like negative Nancy, but I just don't see us being consistent enough on defense to actually make a good playoff push, because we're not being consistent now. We've been consistent all year with defense. So people are blaming the goalkeepers, but I don't see that. But let's say in a scenario where the Preds do decide to push, Barry Trotz is like, screw it, let's make a playoff push. If we're trying to make a push, we need a legit middle six scorer. You need help on the power play, and you're going to need depth on defense, because our defense is just not cutting it. You know what I mean? But I guess in order to get those guys, the question is, what are you willing to give up? Picks, prospects, or young players? Because if you give up any of those, picks, prospects, young players, and you miss the playoffs, well, that hurts you in the long run, you know what I mean? And you're really not setting up your future GM for success that way. That's why I kind of feel like a playoff push is highly unlikely, because in order to be a playoff team, we have to make some changes, make some trades, give away some picks, prospects, and young players, we have to do it all. And if we do that, and we don't make a playoff push, the next GM's going to be hurting, dude. And it's going to be a rough couple seasons after that. So that's why, honestly, I think it's time to just sell, get what we can, get young players, picks, whatever it may be, and just call it a season, man. I don't want to be like that, but I mean, this year's it's been so up and down. I think Trotz, I think it's time to just kind of let it go, sell it, and let the next GM do his thing. And so, no matter really how this ends, I guess we're gonna transition to talking about Trotz's legacy, you know what I mean, and the transition potentially of the new GM. Barry Trotz changed the franchise. He really has. He stabilized things. He brought back respect. He made smart, patient moves, And now it's really all about who follows him and whether they stay the course or they flip the script. The next hire might define the next 10 years of these Nashville Predators. You know what I mean? And that's just it. Like, what is, I guess, this next GM, it's all about his direction, what direction he's going to take. I really hope it's the same direction. He's patient, smart, makes good moves. Are we going to see success next season? No, probably not. It's not going to happen. But we can make decisions now and next season to set us up for the next 5 seasons and make a good playoff push. Not a sneak into the playoffs and do mediocre. No, a full push for the Stanley. That's the transition that needs to happen for the next GM. But it's just, if we do make the playoff push this year, that's not going to happen, and we'll be suffering for the next 10 seasons. That's my prediction right there, boys. I know you don't care, but that's my prediction. We need to sell, so that we're the next GM only has a couple seasons to figure it out, and then we can make Stanley Cup pushes. But like I said, I'm not in the front office seeing what's going on, so I don't really know. I don't know, man. It's gonna be interesting to watch unfold. It's gonna be difficult to watch unfold because, like I said, it's a big move. It's a big change. It's a big move. But we'll have to see what all this going on. Barry Trotz. Like I said, I know I'm all over the place. I'm not really going off the script. I'm kind of just winging it today. With Barry Trotz leaving, it's definitely a chapter being closed in the Nashville Predators organization. As fans, as an organization, and with the front office. It's a chapter being closed. And with every chapter ending, a new chapter must begin. A new chapter starts. And I'm excited for the new chapter. I really am. Barry Trotz is a really good guy. He knows a lot. The Predators fans love him. He's been there. He was literally our first head coach. Come on. But I'm excited for this new chapter to begin because I'm excited to see what the new GM can bring to the table. You know what I mean? Who are they going to hire? I don't know. I have a couple guys in mind. I'll talk about that in another episode when I guess the season kind of comes to an end. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's going to be a new chapter starting next season, and it's going to be excited to see watch what happens. Like I said, if the Predators do the right thing, if Barry Trotz does the right thing and sells, and kind of sets the next GM up for success. It'll be fun. It'll be fun to watch because you get to see we get to see a lot of young guys get chances. We'll get to see some crazy trades. Where we get some young prospects and they make a name for themselves and it can potentially become Nashville legends. But it's all about what Barry Trotz does in the Endgame. Like Captain America or Doctor Strange says, this is the Endgame now. This is kind of where we're at with Barry Trotz. We're in the Endgame. What are you going to do to make this last couple months memorable? What are you going to do? Are you going to go out as a legend and and are you going to you're going to make a playoff push and it be all for nothing? You're going to make bad decisions, or are you going to make the smart decision and sell and set the team up for success for the next 5 years? I'm telling you guys now, mark my words, if he sells this year and sets the next GM up with as much cap as he can and a bunch of young prospects, and the next GM makes smart moves, we'll be pushing for a Stanley in the next 5 seasons, if not less. But that's just it. Barry Trotz, he's not really the guy to kind of sit there and settle for mediocrity. He's gonna push. He's a competitor, dude. He's a competitor. That's the way to put it into words. He's a competitor, and he's not gonna sit around and watch the team struggle. You know what I mean? So, does he make the push? Potentially, but also I know Barry Trotz is a lot smarter than that. I think he'll make the right decision. But at the end of the day, it's his last season, man. His ego could be on the line, you know what I mean? So it all just comes down to really what his mindset is going into this. That's kind of all I got for you guys today. Appreciate y'all listening. If you like the episode, give a drop, subscribe, like, comment, whatever. My question for you guys, though, leave in the comments or DM me, don't really matter, is what do you think the move is for the rest of the season? Do you think we're going to sell, or do you think it's going to be a push? What do you think? Let me know. Like, again, guys, appreciate you listening. I know this episode was kind of all over the place. It was kind of random, but I didn't really have a script, and I just wanted to talk about a lot of this to kind of get, I guess, y'all's ideas, too, on what y'all think. But, yeah, appreciate y'all listening. I'm going to drop a soccer episode in a couple days, and, yeah, I'll hit y'all up later. See y'all.